Welcome to All Right Right Now seminar series. I'm Ted Maker, and I'm glad you're here. Today's seminar is the current situation. We're going to talk about suffering, well-being, how FUD affects us, the sense of all right right now, and some limitation to the all right right now practices. This is the second seminar in the series and corresponds to chapter 1 in the book. If you missed the first seminar, you may want to go back and take a look at it. It's the introduction and the overview, and it will give you a good understanding what the series is all about. In any event, let's get started. We start each chapter with what's going on, which of course starts with a poem. Here's the one for current situation. So how do you feel as you go through your day? Just numb, perhaps happy, or in a bad way? How many of us would admit that we feel a bit more distraught than we care to reveal? It feels like there's nothing at all you can do. Believe it or not, that's not really true. The truth can be said without any compunction. Your day-to-day living overwhelms your brain function. Not mine is, of course, the first thing you'll say, but don't slam the door, at least not right away. Here are some signs that your brain's overloaded and certain brain functions are being eroded. Your daily life feels like an unending grind. No matter your speed, you fall further behind. You can't pay attention, you're always distracted. What you can recall remains greatly contracted. The voice in your headspace incessantly chatters. You're just going to fail. What you do doesn't matter. You often feel lonely, disheartened, and small. Your life has no purpose, no meaning at all. You're chronically anxious. You often feel dread. Continual worries go round in your head. Of course, there is laughter and flashes of fun. A bike ride with friends, a really bad pun. But good times don't feel at all like the norm. If there is a calm, it's before the next storm. It's just how I am, you are likely to say. How draining it is to go through life this way. Well, I hope you and your brain enjoyed that. The poem highlights some of the ways we may suffer. Suffering is quite insidious and it pervades our lives in many ways. Through thought patterns like self-talk, expectations, comparisons. Our behaviors, overindulging in food and alcohol, escape, avoidance, procrastination. Boundaries and how we define ourselves. I don't do travel. I don't cook. I can't do math. I'm an unlovable person. Oftentimes, suffering appears as victimization. You blame others, the past, a particular situation. And finally, you may just relinquish and surrender to it. It's just the way I am. You may be one of the lucky ones who truly doesn't suffer, but many of us do, or have reached some reconciliation with the craving and aversion that leads to suffering. The key point is this: only you know how and how often you suffer. If suffering is one side of the coin, savoring is the other. Only you know how and how often you savor a given moment. Most of us don't savor very much. It is decreased along with a diminished sense of well-being. Well-being is how you feel about yourself as you go through your day. It's a sense that you're okay. You can handle what you face. Well-being is the counterweight to negativity your brain spontaneously and continuously spews out throughout the day. So where did well-being go? You still have it, but it's been overrun by the reactions your brain constructs to ensure your survival. When your brain perceives a threat, it immediately triggers fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and preps you to act. It isn't really concerned whether the threat is real or imagined. Act now, sort it out later. Today's world bombards you with stimuli to generate FUD to get you to react. And frankly, technology has made it worse. You now have a handheld, non-stop FUD generator, your cell phone. Of course, there are some who are going to say there's nothing wrong with my brain. The problem is with the world around me. So why not change the world? Good luck with that. The day is filled with messages from all sorts of groups that want to grab your attention, trigger FUD, get you to react, and influence your beliefs. And they are increasing in number, getting smarter, and acting faster. Other groups are purposefully disseminating false information, leaving your brain the overwhelming task to sort out what is real, which leaves you destabilized and constantly on edge. If you want to address the problems of the world, you have to meet them where they take hold, between your two ears. But wait, there's more. The cost of wrestling with relentless FUD attacks is higher than a loss of savoring and well-being. Awareness is eroding. Sinking along with it are positive attributes like kindness and gratitude, as well as the capability to recoup and recover from any particular situation. To recover these diminished aspects, you need to revive the innate sense of all right now, which is really the purpose of the book. Now, we're not talking about all right like the one in the question, are you all right? This all right is with a double L. All right is the positive feeling you sense when you are fully present in the current moment without wandering into the past or the future. You're aware of sensory inputs, but also what may be blocked by your attention, what your brain is constructing, and who you truly want to be. You're able to respond skillfully based on this broadened perspective and know you can shape your experiences rather than being shaped by them. And also, you can savor the experience in any given moment as the current one that's making up your life, and you want to be at your best. As one person put it, all right now is experience each moment just as it is, just as I am, and that is just fine. Before we leave, there are 3 important limitations about these practices that you need to know. First, they won't cure trauma. If you suffered from some kind of trauma in the past, these practices may provide some relief, but I encourage you to get help from a professional to release the trauma so you'll be free to grow. Secondly, they won't change your life. A life is made up of 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. These practices will change how you experience your life, but not what happens in your life. Excuse me. Life goes its own way with determined persistence. And finally, they make you no less accountable. As you rebuild awareness, you may get a sense you are observing yourself and not being yourself. These will eventually merge, but it doesn't change the fact that you're accountable for how you think, what you say, and how you act. You own who you are. So that lays out the current situation. We'll close with a brief summary of this session and some general information. Next up is the brilliant brain. I hope you'll join me to learn how normal brain functions can lead to suffering, or as I like to say, when you understand how the brain works, you can manage its pesky quirks. Thanks for listening.